Hey guys, this is Bonnie. I get a lot of questions about how to save seeds and how to tell when our seeds are ready to harvest, as well as kind of what the seed pods look like. And probably one of the most confusing vegetables in terms of what our seed pods are going to look like and what to expect comes from our broccoli. So most people don't realize the part of the broccoli that we actually eat is a flower head. So each of these little green pieces here that we actually eat, these will all become a yellow flower, which once they flower, the whole head will kind of spread out, and you can see my flowers there. So it produces these little red flowers, and the stalk is going to grow up, and each of these flowers is going to produce a seed pod. So this is what it ends up looking like. This is one little head of broccoli here. This would have been one little broccolini. All right. So when it flowered, this whole broccoli head extended out. Each of these little pods was a yellow flower, and then eventually the yellow flowers became a seed pod. Now, and I've got little stink bugs all over my greens here. All right. Eventually, these seed buds are going to turn brown on the stalk, and this is what you get. See this little brown seed pod? It almost looks like a little green bean. So what I'm going to do, well, when they're green, they look like green beans. And I'm going to eat this guy later. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to go through, I have my nippers so I don't destroy my plant. Hopefully I can get these off here. And I'm going to just pick the brown ones. This is important. When you are harvesting your seed pods, you want to let them get brown on the plant first. I don't think these are actually helping me here. You want these to get brown on the plant first, so that way the seeds are completely mature and viable. One reason, or one way I can tell that these are viable, is we've been getting rain for the last 3 days. And these, I had been waiting for these to turn all the way brown, so I hadn't harvested them yet. But this is one of my seed pods that just turned brown. You see here? From all that rain we've gotten the last few days, I have a broccoli sprouting out of my seed pod. The problem is, it is now way too hot for us to grow broccoli. And so my little broccoli seedling isn't going to make it. But I am going to pick off all of my brown seed pods. And I still have a lot of green seed pods that are left here on the plant, and I'm going to leave them for now. I'm not going to harvest them until they're green. I am probably going to end up with a lot more broccoli seeds than I could ever possibly use, but this is one of the beauties of gardening, is that gives me a lot of extra seeds that I can then share with my friends. Okay, now another plant that we have that looks very similar to broccoli when it flowers is my mustard. Originally, I planted the mustard to have as salad greens, but as the temperature started to increase, the leaves got very hot. And this is when it starts to bolt and go to seed. You'll see now the flowers are much smaller clusters than broccoli, but they're going to have the same type of little flower cluster that's going to end up producing these yellow flowers. And as they extend out, again, they're going to produce these little seed pods along the stem. These are just starting to produce and pollinate, and so it's going to be a little while until they are ready to harvest. I may not save these for seed for replanting, or I'm going to save a very limited amount of them because What I am most interested in my mustard greens, my mustard seeds, is that I will actually be able to preserve this and make my own homemade mustard. So that I'm really looking forward to. All right, now last but not least, in terms of these little seed pods that you wouldn't expect to get from certain vegetables, is my arugula. This is one that I planted because I just wanted to try it, and I had read that it did really well here. And in planting it and in growing it, I actually found that I really liked the taste. Arugula wasn't something that I had ever eaten a whole lot of before, but now that I have it in my garden, I always want to have it. This is the wild type arugula, which probably goes to seed a lot, or well, probably produces a lot more seed than some of the other varieties. It is known for taking over a garden bed because it seeds so prolifically. So you want to be careful, and if you're going to let it go to seed, if you're going to save your seeds, that you get them harvested. Don't let it reseed the bed by itself, because it will end up overproducing and choking out anything else that you want to grow in that bed in the future. But now this arugula is a little bit more like a lettuce. So what happens with it, see if I can, as the weather gets warmer and your cold weather crops start to bolt, arugula is more of a leaf producing vegetable. So typically we have these stalks that are just the leaves, and this is what we harvest and this is what we eat. Now, and it does get hotter when it goes to seed, but I kind of like the heat a little bit. It's a little bit addicting. So when it starts to go to seed, it starts to put out these thicker stalks that are going to have little yellow flowers on them, a lot like the flowers that we had for our broccoli and our mustard. But again, it's not going to produce a head quite like the broccoli does. And in fact, the head is less compact even than the mustard one is. But it produces these little yellow flowers, and here's, you see I've still got a few flowers on the end of this stalk here. But then that whole flower shoot spreads out, and it produces these bean pods all along it. And with this, because it's not as sturdy of a plant as my broccoli and my mustard, I ended up putting it on a chair to help support it, because otherwise it was dragging the ground, and you end up inviting a lot of issues to your plant as well as your seeds. You don't want your seed pods laying on the ground, because then it can have a lot of fungal issues, which are going to affect your seed viability in the future. So you want to keep these up off the ground, keep them supported in some way. And again, we're going to wait until these seed pods turn brown before we harvest. So that is our seed saving for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something. Again, I get a lot of questions about what to look for, what these seeds are going to look like, and so this is what you're looking for. You're looking for these bean pods that are going to produce on these stalks, and you're going to want to wait for them to completely dry out before you harvest them, to either use them or to save your seeds. So you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks. Bye.